So we're getting into part 2 with Jessica Slaughter from Rapid Locking System. And press is taking storm of the industry. It's trending up. There's lots of people that still don't believe in it. I get it. Yes, there's people on the fence. There's people that are proponents. But we're going to have this discussion with Jessica and continue it on, because I think my prediction is this is the future of the trade. So let's get back to it. This is the HVAC Know-It-All podcast, and I'm your host, Gary McCreadie. This podcast is sponsored by Cool Air Products, Master, Cintas, and SupplyHouse.com. Go to the show notes and click on the links to check these guys out. I've had lots of people say, I can braze that faster than you can press it. And I'm like, okay, so take 10 prepped fittings. Let's make them 3/4, 7/8, inch and eighth, whatever, something a bit larger than 3/8 diameter, and put them all on a pipe in a row. Have a 10-foot length of pipe and have 10 fittings on it if you can. Every foot have a fitting, right? I want you to go braze and time it, and then I want you to go press and time it. And then I get crickets. I get nothing. Here's something that you can do at a trade show. And I know you guys do the press competition where it's teams and you guys have to spell a certain word and stuff like that. And I've been involved in them, and they're fun. But maybe, just maybe, you can take an unbranded torch of some sort, have 2 people race, have one guy press, or it doesn't have to be a guy, it can be a female technician as well, because we got more of those. And then we can have a brazer that thinks his brazing is all that, right? And in a crowd, if you go, who can braze? Someone puts up their hand. Okay, you come out here, right? Show me how to braze a fitting. They braze one fitting. Okay, yeah, you can braze.
Yeah.
Okay, so now what you're going to do, you're going to compete against this technician over here. He's going to press, or she's going to press in 10, and you're going to braze 10. Let's see who wins, and let's see what the difference is in time. I think that would be a cool little thing for you to do at a trade show.
I'm so, you're more brave than I am, because I am so terrified that I don't want people to think RLS attacks brazing, because people do get really,
I don't think
upset.
you're attacking brazing. You're just showing the time, you're showing the time savings on a job is
Yeah.
what you're doing. What you're doing is showing the time savings on a job. And I would do it. I mean, I just need to get the right setup, the right place.
Maybe we can do that at CMPX on the Fnatic stage.
Yeah, we should do
That would be
something like
fun.
that, because it will create a sense of, and we could film it and I could post it, and it creates a sense of there's a ton of labor savings in pressing. And like you said, you have to prep your braze. If you don't prep your braze, that's when you can have leaks 8-9 years down the road that give you problems, because you didn't prep it properly, and you might have dirt and stuff, or an unclean pipe under that fitting.
Yeah.
And you didn't ream. And people, listen, if you're not reaming your pipe on the inside of it, what can happen is that refrigerant is now hitting that lip, and it's creating a bit of turbulence. What that turbulence is going to do over time is keep knocking at that joint, knocking with high pressure. And eventually, if the braze if it didn't penetrate enough, if it's not capped properly, it can leak. And I've seen it tons and tons of times. So just be sure that everything is prepped, even when you braze too.
Yeah, that's with anything. Make sure you're doing it correctly.
So here's my next question. The pushback. What are the main pushback components from people that are still on the fence? There's people that are never going to buy press. Let's just put it out there. They'll never, ever buy it, because unless they're forced to for a job that's spec for press, they'll never enter that realm, because they're too old school. They're too hard-headed. They're too stubborn to try something new. But the younger generation's coming up. It seems like they have a good handle on wanting to try it. So pushback, what are some of the pushback items that are preventing people from?
Yeah, like 5 years ago when I joined, it was like everything you could imagine, people hating on it. But nowadays, the 2 big pushbacks are, one, the cost of the tool, and actually entering in to be able to press. That is still proves to be a big barrier to entry for people. And time.
What do you mean by time?
Time is the other one. You know, we have the most time on our hands out of any of the ACR fittings out of there, and are the most field proven aside from brazing.
Oh, you're talking about longevity.
Yeah, the longevity. So it's still going to take, I think, probably when we get to 15 years, I think we'll see another big push into press. This year has been very big for us in press fittings because of the switch to the flammable refrigerants. It's like some like little clock just like or something went off in people's brains where they're like, yeah, well, everything else is changing, might as well change this too or try this as well. So those are it. But one we can do today, we can help people get tools, and we can try to create programs and promotions and bring that cost down, because quite frankly, RLS doesn't want to be in the tool business, or we manufacture press fittings. That's what we want. That's what we want to sell. And then time, that just takes time. It's like it's trust. How long does it take to build trust? It's different for everyone.
I know that Sean, right, your head of engineering there, he's constantly looking at things, and I'm sure he's looking at ways to improve and how to get that higher pressure rating, perhaps. Like, what are some of the things that you're able to talk about that are going on from an engineering standpoint where you're looking to maybe improve or enhance or anything along those lines?
Yeah, for us with the ACR press fittings, I mean, we're at the levels of requirement that you need to be. So to get the 700 PSI rating, you have to test the 3 times above that to 2100. And that's very easy for all our fitting sizes. The only thing that we couldn't maybe quadruple is when it gets to like 2 1/8. I think that will, the tube fails. I mean, the thing is, copper is not strong enough. The tube will fail like around 2700 PSI on that size fitting, but still more than adequate. The next thing I think, is us just continuing to expand our size range and the fittings that we offer, because, the moment somebody does have to get their torch out is the moment they're going to go, I'm just going to finish using this on the rest of these fittings. So the more types of fittings that we can have out there for the most complete line is what we're working on. So like we're just now releasing a 3/8 to 5/16 reducer. Like this week, it's been soft launching for a couple weeks, and now we're pushing it out because some equipment changed it. Some of the equipment manufacturers changed their step out to 5/16. So we're releasing that. And then for us, another big thing is we're trying to keep up with, like, internally in the factory, keep up with demand. And so 3 years ago, we moved into a new 70,000 square foot production space, and now we're automating parts of it and adding a whole nother line to our existing line that will be 100% automated. And it will form our fittings and package them with the O-ring inside of them, everything. And that's really just so we can keep up with the capacity, because right now we have the benefit of shipping fittings out in 48 hours. That's the benefit of us being made in the USA, is we can get the product to people faster, because not everybody's planning for their jobs 24/7. And, your distributor definitely isn't planning for your job unless you tell them in advance. So the fact that we can get it out there faster, I mean, that's what we're focused on, is now that the people who have bought into press, is how do we make it easy for them to keep pressing and it not be hard to get what you need.
You bring up a fantastic point, because a few years back when I first got a hold of a kit, it was difficult to find fittings. It was call around to suppliers. Oh, we only order when people order. I'm like, well, really? So now there's many different, where was I recently? I was in a Wolseley. A Wolseley is Canadian. I don't know if they're in the US or not, but I think they're just Canadian. But
they have like other branded names here in the US.
Yeah, I was in one of in this branch that I go to, or the branch that's closest to me. I'm going to say they have a lack of things that I need on a regular basis, but I was surprised to see their bins filled with RLS fittings, like ready to go. So there's been a change in that, which is good. So I want to talk to you before we head out about certain, or the main places that press from your knowledge, the main places that press is being installed. And I want to talk about service too, because it's not just an install method. It's also a service method. Now, I want to give
Yeah.
an example of that, which not everybody's in this position, because not everybody takes care of data centers and server rooms and stuff like that. But it was an install that was done by another company, and this was a small data center, and I had 2 Dakin air handlers, and then was it 1 unit on the roof or 2? I can't remember. Anyway, there was a Dakin system on the roof. This is like a VRV system, right? That's what Dakin calls their VRV. So there was a leak on a flare, and I had to basically remove the refrigerant, all for this one flare. Remove the refrigerant, cut the flare out, and I'm like, okay, so in order to braze in this room, we have to get the smoke and fire bypass. We have to fill out a fire or a permit or something along those lines, a bunch of paperwork.
Yeah.
And then we have to get the fire extinguisher in there. Then we have to fire watch for a few hours afterwards. And it's just big ordeal. And it was one joint, because what I was going to do is I was going to just flare it back in and have a coupling. But it's an ordeal to do this. So I had my flare tool. I flared it. I put an RLS coupling on and pressed it, and we were done in 10 minutes. So I know people say they get paid by the hour and all that kind of stuff, but listen, if you're like an hour and a half from your house already, and it's 2 p.m, and you got to get home for your kids' game or dance recital or whatever it may be, and you're in a rush because you're a busy person, sitting around waiting 6-7 hours to braze one joint is a bit ridiculous to me, right?
Yeah, well, and if you own your own business and you can go to especially a sensitive place like a data center or a healthcare place or wherever it is and say, I can do this job in 10 minutes, 20 minutes, but I'm going to charge you this. I don't know. I think that's more appealing and makes probably the data center people feel better than saying, all right, I'm going to charge, that's going to be like 5 hours. And I'm also going to bring flames into your very sensitive area. I don't know. I feel like you could have an advantage there.
100%, because the tool costs money. And I always say this about combustion analyzer. You bust out your combustion analyzer. That tool can be anywhere from $1,500 to $5,000, depending on how high end you want to go. And it requires calibration every year and all this kind of stuff. So there's a premium cost to a tool like that used on a job site. So if you're spending all this kind of money on jaws and fittings and stuff like that, there should be a premium price tag put on that, right? It becomes that old story about the guy going into the ship and knocking on or turning the right valve or knocking on the right pipe with his hammer and charging them $10,000 for 5 minutes of his time, right? Just knowing what to do in the right situation and having the correct tools to do it is something that people should be able to charge for, especially in an emergency situation like that, where this data center is warming up. We've got a leak and we have to fix it now. So it's things like that I find a lot of value in press. So where do you see mainly people purchasing the fittings to use? Is it service? Is it install? Is it VRF? Is it residential? Like, what is it?
It's, to be honest, it's everything. It really is. I've definitely seen an increase in residential this year, just based on the sizes that people have been buying and that we've seen demand grown in. And I think that's just because of the refrigerant change and more exposure and people believing more in press because that's kind of more the reluctant group, I would say. We're used on Amazon distribution centers. We're used in DHL cold storage places. We've been used on Bitcoin and a couple other types of data centers that people would know about that I can't say the names of. And, we're used in an old, we just did that video with Jason and Emerald Green in the beginning of this year. And that was an install in an old care facility place that was like 6 levels of like a nursing home essentially, and apartments. And it really is spread out where it's being used. And the commercial jobs do require a lot of fittings at once, maybe even thousands, but they might say those with that specific company only a few a year, big projects like that. So then you have your other residential people that are doing, not many fittings every week, but there's a lot of them using a lot of different fittings. And then there's people doing hotels, and I mean, it really is everywhere, because it's just whoever believes in it, I think, and trusted it and tried it, and then they keep using it.
What about globally? I know I talk to people in Australia that use it for sure, and that's like on the other side of the globe. So where your major, outside of North America, where are your major places that are using RLS currently?
Yeah, Europe, Japan, and Australia are other big 3 markets. We have a warehouse in England, and we ship across about 10 different countries there right now. And then we actually are establishing an entity in Japan right now. We have a sales manager in not too far out of Tokyo. But Japan has been using us since almost the beginning. And that's just because they're the godfather of ductless. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
They believe in all of that stuff. So for us, it's just getting it into their hands and exposure. That's really what press is exposure and education. I still meet people all the time here in the U.S. that somehow never heard of press. And I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. But
that's because they live under a rock and they're not on social media.
Yeah, they live under.
They don't get on any type of there. I meet people all the time that have zero social media. And if I didn't run a business, I wouldn't be on social media either. If I didn't run a business and rely on it for many different types of things, I wouldn't be on it either. So, I mean, there's ignorance is bliss sometimes, right?
Yeah. So, and they're usually the ones though too. They're ready to find out about it. Like they're like, oh wow, okay, cool. And then Australia is a really good market for us too, and we do projects in Latin America as well, and Mexico and the Caribbean, because there it's hot all year round, and they're always replacing, repairing, installing new AC, and it's everywhere. We ship to about 29 different countries.
Yeah, and it's just going to keep growing. So, all right, Jess, I mean, I really appreciate your time today, and I learned some things that I didn't currently know about press as well, specifically to rapid locking systems. So thank you very much. And we got to talk about this competition where we braze versus press, just to see the time difference, because I think that would really blow people's mind. And that video would be like, a lot of people would watch it and the zipper would just close on their mouth like this.
Yeah, you got to be the one to braze, and then we'll get somebody else to press.
I'll definitely braze, but people will say that I'm cheating and I'm not brazing fast enough.
Okay. Yeah, true. I mean, I don't want the brazers' feelings to get hurt, so...
Listen, by the way these people talk online, no, their feelings are well intact. Trust me.
Oh, okay, good.
Anyway, we'll figure it out. But thank you very much. I appreciate this.
Yeah, thank you, Gary.